Okay,
Look,
you're a liar,
we've lost
Joe. You're a liar, Joe. Yeah. You're a liar, Joe.
That's not true.
You're lying about my record.
I'm telling the truth.
Democratic Senator Michael Bennet and his Republican challenger Joe O'Dea got into it about whether each was being honest with voters.
They also had clear disagreements about inflation and government spending. Let's bring in Kyle Clark, one of tonight's debate moderators at CSU in Fort Collins. Kyle, inflation, definitely a top issue for voters this year, and that's where you guys started.
Yeah, Alex, in one of the sharpest debates that Colorado politics has seen in the last decade, Republican Joe O'Dea tore into Senator Michael Bennet, a Democrat, saying that his spending, along with President Biden, has hurt everyday Coloradans. Bennet was happy to go through long lists of projects and policies that he says he believes have helped working Coloradans. Throughout the entire debate tonight, there were accusations of dishonesty and double talk from candidate to candidate. Early in tonight's debate, we asked Bennet about his support for President Biden's so-called Inflation Reduction Act. Did Democrats mislead Americans by calling it that? And do you have any concerns that the plan's spending will actually make inflation worse?
I don't think we misled the American people, and I don't think the spending is going to make it worse. Unlike the Trump tax cuts, this bill was actually paid for, and it would cap drug prices for seniors at $2,000 in Colorado.
When we pay people to sit on the couch at home, that's dependency. When we pay people to invest in our transportation system, in our water storage systems, in our economy, in our energy, those are assets that we're growing.
I think it's so insulting to Coloradans when Joe says Coloradans need to get off the couch. That's what he says. That's what he said tonight. He said it before, and it's insulting. People in this economy, with this inflation, are killing themselves. And even before it, they were killing themselves to afford housing and health care and higher education and early childhood education. The problem is not that people need to get off the couch in Colorado.
O'Dea has made a shocking claim about this race. O'Dea has said that Google, the world's second largest company, is interfering in the Colorado U.S. Senate race, trying to get him to lose and Bennet to win. He says that Google has done this by pulling his ads. We've examined O'Dea's Google ad record, which is public, anyone can see it, and we find no evidence of his claim. We've asked him for the evidence, and his campaign will not provide it. Tonight, we tried again one last time. So tonight, what is your specific evidence that Google has pulled your ads to interfere in this election?
Kyle, they stopped my ads on abortion and how it was Googled for 2 weeks during our campaign. I stand by my decision. That's exactly what took place. You can go do your investigation.
Do you have any evidence?
I just told you they pulled one of our ads for 2 weeks. That's the evidence we got.
With respect, your word is not evidence, sir. Yeah. Do you have any evidence?
It's there. You can find it.
Just like he can't be trusted on Google, what he just said to you, he can't be trusted on what he is saying about a woman's right to choose. He says he's been clear from the very beginning. He's never been clear. He's been completely incoherent or not telling the truth about his position.
So that's how it went all night. Bennet suggesting that O'Dea is duplicitous, at one point calling him a liar, and O'Dea saying that Bennet is not being straight with Coloradans. Good thing we have somebody who can fact check what the candidates say. Co-moderator Marshall Zellinger, our political reporter, is along now, taking a look at a few of the more noteworthy claims tonight.
Yeah, if you're going to say something repeated times during a debate and have one of the moderators tell you it's not true during the debate, there's a good chance we're going to fact check it on the news after the debate. Republican candidate Joe O'Dea making an out-of-context claim about the success rate as a senator for Michael Bennet.
He's ineffective. One bill, 13 years, no results. That's where we're at.
One bill in 13 years, that's a reference to Bennet being a senator for 13 years and having one standalone bill under his name in the Senate. That's not really how Congress works. Reporting by the Colorado Sun and work you can double check with the website GovTrack shows that Bennet has had more than a dozen other bills folded into other legislation that eventually passes, and that Bennet has been a co-sponsor of dozens of other bills, showing that he has worked with other lawmakers. Let's go to the other side. The candidates were allowed to ask each other a question. One of the questions from O'Dea to Bennet was about why Bennett's investments are not in a blind trust. Here's Bennet talking about that, followed by some context.
The reason it's not a blind trust is that every year we are required to publicly disclose our investments. That is the law of the Senate, and so I publicly disclose my investments every year as a result of that. I am one of the very few members of Congress that has my investments in a trust that's not administered by me.
Bennet may have a blind trust, but he hasn't taken the extra steps that 6 other senators have taken to have what's called a qualified blind trust through the Senate Select Committee on Ethics. So yes, he may have a blind trust and release those required annual disclosure reports that people can search online to see where your senator, your congressperson has investments, but he's not taken the additional steps that he could take right now to make it more foolproof.
Republicans nationwide in Colorado would really like this race to be competitive. It's kind of an outlier among the potentially competitive Senate races around the country. I have to feel like the O'Day people walked out tonight feeling like he did what he could to really lay into Bennet at every opportunity. You also saw the Bennet team walk out tonight feeling great, because that is about as animated as we've ever seen Michael Bennet in his 13 years in the Senate.
Absolutely. Outside of seeing him on the Senate floor going in an attack against Senator Ted Cruz a few years ago, this was a Michael Bennet you don't normally see. And if Joe O'Day did his best opportunity to get into the conversation again, along with Pennsylvania Senate race, Georgia Senate race, maybe people will be talking about Colorado Senate race in the same vein.
Decision is yours, Colorado. You saw 2 very different visions of what works in government here at home and nationally.
All right, Kyle Clark, Marshall Zellinger working for us up in Fort Collins tonight, guys. Thanks so much. Also, voters, if you would like to watch these debates again, you can watch the full series on 9news.com. 9 News hosted 6 of these debates. Again, all of those are on our website and 9 News Plus.